when this is the first time, Professor Marandi, I think you will accept that we haven't seen for 46 years of the Iranian, in the aftermath of the Iranian Revolution. This is the first time Iran coming out and saying that if you attack Lebanon, if you attack Hezbollah, we're going to respond. This is the new strategy. This is new sort of attitude that is coming out of the war because of the reality of what has happened so far and how they have used. We know what has happened in Syria. Syria was a very different case because Bashar Assad somehow gave up and he decided not to fight back, not to help. You remember we talked about Syria and how Iran wanted to help Syria, but they didn't want it. Bashar Assad
Not
didn't want.
because not because Iran was a fan of Bashar al-Assad himself. Iran couldn't care less. And this is something that those sectarian proxies of the United States and the Qataris and the Saudis, that those who are on the payroll and who have TV channels and who have think tanks and who have institutes and things like that, and have been working for the empire and against the uh, the government in Syria during the last decade and a half. Uh, they were trying to make this a sectarian issue because they wanted to justify their cooperation with the empire. And just like in Lebanon, when Michel Aoun speaks about Iran or others, they're trying to justify a position that they know is not moral and not correct. So these sectarian people, they know, you know, that their politics are to the benefit of Israel, but they have to the Israeli regime, but they have to justify it. And so they would say this is sectarian for Iran. Assad, it didn't matter at all what his uh, sect was or what his religion was. What Iran knew was that the attempt to overthrow him was a CIA-led operation, and it was started by, it was approved by Obama. And so Iran stood against it. And when they brought in 10 Western intelligence agencies, brought tens of thousands of foreign fighters, ISIS, Al Qaeda, Jaish al Islam, and all these other Takfiri extremist uh, uh, groups, Iran stood against them because they knew that this was the intention was to destroy Syria, to destroy the axis of resistance, and that the regime that would benefit would be the Israeli regime. And that's why Netanyahu considers what happened to happen in Syria a great achievement. And imagine if they did not carry out this dirty war in Syria, if these the proxies, the U.S. proxies in Qatar and elsewhere, did not play the role that they did, and if these people on the payroll did not cooperate the way in which they did, and all those foreign terrorists, if they had not been in Syria, imagine what the situation would have been today. The resistance would have been much more powerful. The Israeli regime is already overstretched. It would have been much worse. But now look at the situation. In this, the Syrian government is cooperating to try to shut the border with Lebanon to strangle Hezbollah and the resistance. And you see all those pro ISIS and Al Qaeda people in London and the West and elsewhere, these pro Syrian activists, they're all quiet. They're looking away, looking at uh, the clouds and the nice weather. They don't they're not going to talk about the collaboration of Giuliani with Trump because they know what that means and they know that they had a key role. They all are complicit in what happened, and thus they're complicit in uh, whatever successes the Zionist regime had and
I think
has.
that's the main reason that for Iran to come out and talk about the situation with Lebanon, because what is going on in Lebanon. They want to make some sort of civil war in Lebanon, and when the chaos come out, the same scenario as we've been witnessing in Syria. Today is the same way. They're trying to make some sort of civil war and the people fighting each other, different sects of the society fighting each other, and you go in and you capture more land. And this is the same sort of playbook for Israel. And again, they want to do this in Lebanon. What was the main change right now is that Hezbollah is capable of fighting back using drones, using FPV drones and rockets. So when you're not capable, Israelis are not capable to fight back, they want to hit Dahieh. Here comes the Iranian sort of new strategy, which is so important in my opinion that I've mentioned. We haven't seen this before. Iran says, if you attack Dahieh, if you level Dahieh, we're going to level the northern part of Israel. This is new for,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. And um, again, for anyone to say that Iran is sacrificing Lebanon, Iran is basically saying that we're going back to war for the sake of Lebanon. They know that they're talking nonsense, and they know that the government in Lebanon uh, is 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 not capable and is not willing to take a stand against the Israeli regime. The government in Lebanon has never even sought the ability to protect their people against the Israeli regime. But these people are bound to the West. It's the same thing as we see in Kuwait, in Bahrain, in the Emirates, and elsewhere. These are regimes that are bound to the West. These are leaders that are bound to the West. Their allegiance is to the West. Even in Europe, you see how uh, the European leaders are bound to the United States, uh, let alone these uh, weak proxies in West Asia or North Africa. But in any case, and Hezbollah, by the way, it's not just the drones or the rockets; it's also the ambushes. It's they've been carrying out a very sophisticated and effective war against the Israeli regime. And of course, as you rightly point out, the Israeli regime, in its rage, goes and bombs apartment blocks, and the West is quiet about it. I mean, just yesterday we saw, I think, a month year old child, infant, shot in the head by the Israeli regime in the West Bank, and we saw how it was either ignored in the Western media or they tried to justify it. Uh, it's really despicable what the Western media is. I've unfollowed any Western media outlet, legacy media outlet. I don't listen. I don't get my news from them at all anymore. I don't waste my time on them because they're just propaganda.